in the frequency of something we desire and what that means. And there's a lot of information. There's a lot of talk in this in our industry about being in alignment and being in the frequency, and it is sometimes a bit of a mind game to understand what that means and how we actually embody it. So welcome to the conversation. I am Veronica with a raspy voice, and I'm here joined by my partner Kim. Hello, Kim.
Hello, Miss Raspy Sexy Voice Woman.
Yes, 'tis the season, and we are the Frequency Effect. Thank you for joining us.
Cool.
We were talking about, Kim, you had some really, I don't know if you mind me sharing this, you had a really interesting awareness a few weeks ago around prayer and frequency as it relates to prayer. And that was kind of the catalyst for this conversation.
Yeah. So often when I do my morning sitting practice, and whatever that is, and we've had clients, you and I, Veronica, when we're doing our 3-way, and they don't know what words, they don't know how to ask. And so that used to trip me up too, because there's so many, I don't know, there's so many, I'm going to say rules, just to get to the point of make sure you're not asking for what you don't want, because they say that the universe does not understand negations. So if that's true, and that means that if I'm saying I don't want blah, 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 if it's true that the universe doesn't hear negations, then what I'm actually asking for is take out the word I don't want and replace it with want. And so that's what they say is how that works. And so I'm just distracted here with the screen that just came up. Oh, gone. And so, yeah, it's about when we're doing our asks, when we're doing our prayers, it can be interesting to find the words that match, especially when there's all these do's and don'ts on how to do it and how to not do it. And so that you're actually heard. So yeah, we've had clients who in our Unstoppable program who they don't do their asks because they feel like they don't know how to. And they don't want to get it wrong. They don't want to end up with something that because they didn't know how to ask. And here's what I'm saying. Let's throw all that out. Can we throw all that out? I don't know. Can we? And so what about just experimenting and playing with it? And so, what about when we're doing our asks that we take a pause first and look at what it is we really would like to create, recognizing that, hey, maybe when you're doing your ask, you're also speaking to not just the divine, not just God, not just our team, not just our universe, because isn't that a little bit all out there? Do you know what I mean? And yet we know that everything is within. So if it's true and everything is within, that means it's all within me. So what about when I'm doing my asks and my prayers that I'm actually including, not isolating, but including my human, right? We know we've got the divine within us. And yet when it comes to the human, we tend to, it always seems to be about fixing it, bringing it into alignment, which is a little bit of a side path that where we are as my own human is always up for personal development, which of course we are. The divine is always, the universe is evolving too. But it's interesting because when I can look at it as I'm also praying to my human, because our human, guess what? My human has experienced a lot. And your human has experienced a lot. So it's like, how can I help you? Right? So I'm talking, yes, I'm talking to the universe. I'm talking to God, whatever word you want to use. I'm talking to the divine that's within me, but I'm also talking to my human. And so, including my human, which is different than my body, it's included, right? But also my human and all the experiences, instead of always just looking at how I can better my human, how I can do more personal development for my human. There is a little bit of a needing to fix in all of that. And so if that's the frequency I'm playing in, is a needing to fix, and if it's true that the universe does not hear negations, then is it possible my frequency is all about needing to fix? And so is it possible then I end up with more stuff that needs to be fixed? And so, Veronica, you and I used to offer 5-week courses, I think, on creation energy and that kind of thing. It goes back to that. It really does. What is the frequency that you are being as you're doing your asks? And would you be willing to play and just talk to God, the universe, your human, just like you're sitting there? And it's not about perfecting the words. We're experimenting, right? Talk as if you're talking to a friend, and you're kind of trying to navigate it and figure it out and all the things. But yeah, I've really become clear on this. My human's been through a lot. What about praying to my human as well as God and the universe and the divine?
That's beautiful. I love that. I haven't considered it through that framework before. And the whole, yeah. And I know, we, like, to your point, we talk a lot, or we have taught a lot in the past around creation energy and being in the energy of what it is that we desire. It's kind of like if you're going to build a house, you're going to build a custom house. You're not spending time looking at all the things you don't want to build. I don't want this kitchen. I don't want that kitchen, right? You're really honing in on what kitchen do I want and what floor do I want and what, right? So it's kind of that idea of like, okay, it's not sometimes when I'm in a space of something I don't want, I'm experiencing something I don't want. And we've talked about this for years. Then I shift to the question of what is it that I really would like to experience instead? Because that can get me on the track, right? That can get me on the frequency now of building the house that I want instead of looking at all the houses I don't want to have. So even that question alone can be a really good shift. So sometimes we cycle a lot, we circle a lot in the muck of what it is we do not want to experience, because that's what's right in our face. But when we can even just ask a simple question like that, it's like, okay, if I could have anything, if I could have, like, what lights my heart up, what would make me happy here, and then get clarity on that, and then start to think about that and contemplate that and percolate on that. Then that really, we don't have to think about all the rules now. We just take one simple question and it shifts the frequency. I know one of our mentors, Melanie Ann Lair, she talks a lot about the difference between being in the energy of need versus desire. And she talks a lot about how when you're in the energy of need, which is when you think about prayer for a lot of folks, it's like, I need this, God, please give me this, please help me. And you're in that frequency of need. And when you think about it from a frequency perspective, you're looking at the house you don't want to build. You're in the frequency of, this is what I don't want, so please help me get out of it. But when you shift from the frequency of need to the frequency, she calls it the frequency of desire. I might even use a different word myself, but into what it is that is in alignment with your heart and your truth of what you truly wish to be experiencing, then now you're in the frequency of that. The frequency of need creates lack. So it's perpetuating more of that. You ask the question of, what is it that I truly wish to experience? You shift into the frequency of that. And now you're in this conversation with God, the universe, Mother Nature, of the co-creation of what you desire versus the pleading and the needing for what you want fixed.
Yeah, 100%. And also, you know what? Also the human part too, right? Because it can be the human part that trips us up as well. And so including our human part. And yeah, I love that question. Thank you for bringing it up. The question of like when we're stuck in the rabbit hole of what isn't working, how do we shift frequencies? Well, that question really so the first part is noticing you're in the rabbit hole. And when we notice we're in the rabbit hole, that actually takes the hamster that's on the wheel that just keeps going round and round and round and round and round and round and round, and it's on a loop, and just keep creating that over and over and over. But as soon as we have that pause, it's like the hamster's no longer creating the wheel, right? And we're the hamster on the wheel. We're the one making it go round and round. And so when we can just have that pause, first of all, to notice that we're doing it, that in itself is a friggin' celebration. Okay, I'm noticing. So now we're creating that witness. So we see it, we're aware of it. We don't really change anything unless we're aware of it. That's the first step, is becoming aware of it. And then when we're aware of it, it's not beating ourselves up because we did that again. It's a celebration that, yeah, I did that again. And this time I noticed. All of a sudden, it's like the hamster on the wheel goes, what? Right? What just happened? Right? And so first step is noticing. Celebrate that you've noticed. Celebrate it. And then ask, what is it I would like to create instead? What is it I would like to experience instead? Okay, well, I already know what I don't want to experience. Cool. So this is where the creation energy piece clicks in. This is where we can become in alignment with what it is we're looking to create, is by that one question. What is it that I'd like to experience instead? And so there's that pause. And it's not about the visual and the wordiness at this point. It can be as a way to activate it. However, it's more, for me, it's more about what is it I'd like to experience instead. There's a feel. Oh my God, wouldn't it be nice? Blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't it be nice to experience and know that no matter what, I'm okay. I'm safe, no matter what. And then we use our imagination. What might that be like? What might that feel like? Not what would it look like, because that's heady. What might that feel like? What might that be like? What might that be like to really know that no matter what, I'm going to be okay, or whatever your thing is? So first thing is noticing that you're in the loop. Then just pause, celebrate that you noticed. All of a sudden that starts to change the frequency. And then ask, what is it I'd like to experience instead? And then what might that be like or feel like? And now you're playing in the energy, the frequency of what it might be like, what it might feel like. So we're really, and then you're really soaking in that frequency. Now you're in alignment with your ask, right? And we don't want to, it's not about being super specific if that's going to take you heady, right? What might it feel like? What might that be like? So we're letting our imagination, we're using our imagination, which a lot of people, their imagination was shut down when they were a kid because they had too much imagination, right? So it is a muscle. And we're building that muscle again. It's a remembering. What might that be like? So let your imagination imagine what that might feel like. And then you get a sense and you go, and what might that be like? And what might that be like? And you keep asking and allow it to just take on a life of its own. It's not about making sense, it's about the frequency, and it's about being in alignment. And yeah, the more that we play in the frequency, then as we're running around doing our day or whatever, and there's something in our face or in our space that has that same frequency, that's our navigation system going, oh, this is what you wanted to play with. And it might be, yeah, but that makes no sense. Doesn't have to make sense. It's surrendering to, oh, that's the same frequency of when I was sitting and doing my practice of what it is I'd like to experience. Makes no sense. That's the logic mind. That's the critical thinking. Boom. Thank you very much. And even though it makes no sense, it's got the same vibe. Those are the frequencies. Those are your yeses. Those are your energies. Sometimes it's even especially if it makes no sense, because otherwise we're going to just keep doing. If we're always doing what makes sense, then we're doing the same thing that we've always done, right? You're back on that hamster wheel.
Yep. Our heady mind loves the logic of it all.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I think a lot too about how, Melanie has generated over $100 million in her business. And she talks a lot about how she thinks the reason that she was able to receive so much money is because she didn't ever feel like she needed it. Right? She was never in a state of needing money. Like she got to a place where she's like, okay, she didn't think she'd have it. So she kind of let go of that need, and it unlocked something within her. And so I often think about that when I'm in a tough situation. Like I've used this at work. I've used it in my relationships. I use it in my motherhood. So at work, for example, I've had teams that are toxic, and it's like really frustrating to come in and people are not behaving the way you want them to. And in that moment, your mind wants to go to, how do I fix it? And I've challenged myself to instead say, okay, what is it that I want to experience here instead? And when I ask that question, I go into, oh, I have harmonious teams and they are supportive of each other and they're showing up and they're engaged and they're happy. And now I'm in alignment with what I desire because I'm activating that in my ecosystem. And when I continue to do that over and over again, things transform in my team organically. I've watched it time and time again. And all of a sudden, here I am one day with this incredible team in front of me, and I haven't fixed the problems, but I've gone into that alignment of the frequency. I do it in my marriage where I'm like so frustrated and I'm like, I don't understand how he's thinking something one way and I see it so differently. And I just want to teach him and I want to show him how he's wrong. And instead I pause and I think, okay, well, what is it that I want to experience? Okay, I want a loving, harmonious marriage. I want, support and care and all the things. And I go into that energy instead of trying to fix him and teach him and put him in his place. And things starts to transform for us, right? So, but it's tough. It's tough when you're in the thick of something really heavy. So that's why we always talk about walking around in the world, practicing these tools as you go with the lighter things, like the simpler things, because then when the heavy things come, then you've practiced it. And now it's like, okay, I'm going to try this on for something heavy because I've been playing with it with lighter things.
Yeah. And it's not a one-off. Right. It's not a one-off. It's not like, well, jeepers, last month I sat and I did my frequency work, my inner work, and it hasn't shown up. Right. And so it's a practice. It is a practice. And as you said, start off with the smaller things, right? So that you're building that muscle again. You're building that muscle. And like any muscle, when you get to the gym in the beginning, it's painful and it doesn't seem like it's working. And as you continue to practice and commit, because you're really committing to you. You're committing to you and your life. When you go to the gym, you're committing to you and your life, your body, whatever, right? And so it is a practice. It really is. And so often what can also happen is the stuff that's been in your way of being in alignment with your ask, that can start to show up, because it's like, okay, yay, oh man, I'm really feeling it, I'm being it, I'm loving it, here it is. And then all of a sudden, the stuff that a lot of it will just fall away because it's no longer there. It just, because this guy here, for those just listening and no audio, it's like, for those higher frequencies, it will literally melt a lot of that other stuff. But then there's going to be some stuff that is going to challenge that. That's part of it. That's just part of it. And again, what do you do when the stuff that's been in the way of you receiving how it is you want to be in the world and what it is you would like to experience instead, when that other stuff comes up? It's not about pretending it's not there. It's about going, oh, okay, yeah, and I see you. And what is it that I'd like to experience instead? So life will give you the opportunity to continue and to notice the stuff that is in the way of you receiving what it is you want to receive. And doesn't mean your practice isn't working when that stuff shows up. The opposite. It's showing up because you are choosing a different frequency. And so the other stuff that you haven't let go of yet, like I said, a lot of it will just melt. We don't even need to put words to what it is or what is it that just left. Doesn't matter. It's no longer there. But the other stuff will show up as a way of saying, yeah, look at you. You've gone from this level to whoop, that level. And so now you're able to see this other thing. And again, instead of trying to figure it out, you're going down the rabbit hole with it. You just go, okay, and that's there too. Okay, cool. And loving that part of you as the human that experienced that. Because we've had lots of experiences. And so, yeah, it's about, can you even love that without being attached to it? But yeah, so for me, I'm also praying when I do my work, my inner work every morning, it is also, I'm not just praying and asking the universe, I'm also asking my human, how can I help you? Show me how I can help you. Help me to help you. And so now I'm including all of me. And so, yeah, your prayer is your frequency, right? And so you can get to the place where you don't even have to add words. You're just sitting there and you're being the frequency. Because if I'm like wanting more money, but my frequency is money sucks, I'm not in alignment, and that's the frequency. So that your prayer, the frequency is your prayer.
Mic drop. Those are beautiful words, Kim. Thank you for allowing that to come through and for sharing that with us. Your frequency is your prayer is powerful.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful.
And we get so tripped up in trying to put words to it.
Yeah.
And there's not always words that are going to match that.
That's right. Yeah.
And sometimes there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't get tripped up on the words. Just do it. Do it anyway.
Experiment, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. This is a great conversation. I super appreciate that your willingness to share that with us, Kim. And thank you to everyone who's listening, who's watching for the whole episode, for drips and drabs of it. We appreciate you, and your participation is contributing to the conversation. And if you think this conversation can benefit anyone, we appreciate you sharing, commenting, liking, subscribing, all the things, helping us out. We love it. And as a reminder, always, we do have a 2-on-1, a 3-way, 3-month luxurious energy coaching experience. If you're interested in that, please reach out to either one of us and we will give you more information. So much love. Until next time.
Yay.